Your relationship should be where you get to go home, kick your shoes off, let your hair down. I like to say, unbuckle your belt, burp, fart, and be loved. Hi, I'm Terry Real, the creator of Relational Life Therapy, and I want to talk to you today about real love versus the nonsense you've been told. Two myths we're going to take on today. One, that a long-term relationship should be one in which you get to relax, be yourself, and be loved for who you are. Adults give adults unconditional love. And the second is that a good relationship is one in which you never fight with each other because you're in such accord all the time. I call bullshit on both of these. So let's start off with the first one. Haven in a heartless world. I want to be your safe harbor. There are couples therapies right now that are built on this myth. One partner should be the secure attachment figure for the other. Listen, you're not your partner's therapist. You're not your partner's mother or father. You are a human being next to another human being, and they are not your responsibility. What is your responsibility is how you handle yourself on your side of the seesaw, but you're not here to correct for, heal, ameliorate the wounds of the person that you are with. That is not your job, which is big news for many of us. We fall in love, and we may be too sophisticated to say it, but we fall in love thinking that this is the person that's going to complete me, heal me, correct me, give me what those creeps called my parents neglected to give me. Good luck. Real love comes the moment you realize that not only is this person not going to lift you up out of the morass of your childhood wound, they are exquisitely designed to, I like to say, stick the burning spear right into your eyeball. Why don't you take that in? We all marry our unfinished business. We all marry our mothers and fathers. We all become our mothers and fathers. This doesn't mean you're in a bad relationship. It means you're in a real relationship. You had a distant father. I just had a friend who just is fascinated by narcissistic men who, always have one foot out the door. She has a boyfriend now who's 100% available, loving, boring as hell. And we agreed. Having somebody stand in front of her and say, I'm all here, baby, doesn't really float her boat. What really gets her going is having somebody with their back turned and being so appealing and so seductive and so powerful that she gets that distancer to turn and look at her. That is the healing of her distant father. We all have people who will not reactivate our own wounds that blip on our screen, but we're not compelled by them. We don't think so at the beginning. We think the opposite. We think they won't trigger us. But lo and behold, I call this the mysticism of marriage. You wind up next to somebody who will do exactly some version of what you hoped would never happen to you again. The question isn't a good relationship avoids that. The question is, what now? Harmony, disharmony, and repair. What happens when you are betrayed? What happens when you are deserted? What happens when you reach for support from your partner and they have a tummy ache, or they've had a bad day at work, or they're mad at you because of the way you talked to them earlier, and they are not there to have your back and prop you up? Adults don't give adults unconditional love. Adults give children unconditional love. My two boys can do anything and I will be by their side. But any partner in a long-term relationship can behave reprehensibly or repugnantly or neglectfully enough that they eventually harden the heart of their partner. There is no blank check here. If you want to sustain long-term connection, juiciness, passion, love, you have to do your work. You have to be loving. We all long for the divine. We all long for a god or goddess who will be perfectly attuned and complete us. But it is precisely the collision of your human imperfections and mine and how we handle that collision. That's the actual stuff of intimacy. That's the character of intimacy. How your imperfections bump up against mine and how we manage that collision. You have your list of your partner's imperfections and they have their list of yours. And what our culture doesn't teach us is those imperfections stick in the craw. We don't like them. How do you deal with what isn't going right in your relationship? I asked the men, women, and non-binary folks who I work with to live as I try to do, AA's serenity prayer, which I always reverse. Give me the courage to change the things I can, which is what I'm doing on my side of the seesaw. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change, which is what my partner is doing on their side of the seesaw. And the wisdom to know which is which. You do everything you can to get more of what you want in your relationship, including, if you can't get through to the person, dragging them to a good couples therapist, I'm going to say RLT therapist, who will take your side and lean into them and help them deliver for you. So you do your best to elicit the behaviors that you want from your partner. And there's a whole relational technology about how to do that, how to speak up for yourself with love, for example, instead of speaking up for yourself with self-righteous indignation or accommodating and not speaking up for yourself at all. There's a whole repertoire of relational skills that I teach. So there's skillful ways of going about getting more of what you want from your relationship. But will you get everything you want? Will you be loved for quote unquote who you are? Give me a break. It doesn't work like that. Real relationships are an endless negotiation of closeness, distance, assertion, and giving in, yielding, and standing up. This is the rhythm of what it means. Healthy couples regulate each other. That's healthy. Get your foot off my neck. I don't like it. You're taking liberties. Don't speak to me disrespectfully, please. I want to hear you. Please speak more respectfully. Back off. Or you've been so preoccupied with your work, you're hardly here. I miss you, honey. Get your ass back in here and pay attention to me. You're in too close and boundary violating. Back off. You're off too far and abandoning. Come back in. Healthy couples regulate one another all day long. Do you accept each other fully for who you are? I call that the Popeye defense. I am what I am. Yeah, well, what you are ain't working. Let's see about a few changes. The work of relationship is relationship. Find out what pleases your partner. And unless it's jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge, bend over backwards to give it to them. Why? Because you love them, of course, but more selfishly, because you live with them. It's in your interest. I don't talk about altruism. I talk about enlightened self-interest. I have these big burly guys, and they say, why should I work so hard to please my wife? Knock, knock. You live with her. Our relationships are our biospheres. We're not apart from them. We're certainly not above them, controlling them. Or if you're more the enabling codependent type, we're not below them, controlling them either. Don't set daddy off. It's a form of control. And none of that is true. We are interdependent. We live inside our relationships. It's in our interest to keep the biosphere clean. For those of us who are one up, we need to breathe and come down and yield and be more pleasing to our partner. For those who are one down, we need to take the vulnerability of breathing and coming up and leaning in and saying, hey, buddy, I don't like that. Please do it this way instead. Sometimes it's yielding. Sometimes it's assertion. It depends on where you are. In relational life work, we say we want the mighty to melt and the weak to stand up. Are you loved and accepted fully for who you are? Oh, how boring would that be? That's the realm of angels. And while I say my wife Belinda is an angel, as sometimes I don't really mean it, nor would I wish it. A perfect relationship would take away all of the juice of working on each other, grappling with each other, and driving deeper into a healthy, open heart. Lean in, fierce intimacy, take each other on and deal with each other. No perfect harmony here. I tease and say I'm going to write a memoir of my marriage. I already have the title. The title is A Fight Worth Having. Lean into your partner and have that skillful, respectful, constructive fight worth having. Good for them, good for you, and if they're kids, good for the kids to watch you do it. Thank you. If you're interested, there's more where that came from. Just keep joining me here. Be well.